Hello, beautiful, beautiful universers, and welcome to my first ever episode on the Universe Podcast with none other than the DJ Mass. DJ Mass is what people actually know him as because you are actually the resident DJ of Marquee, which is a club in Singapore. But I know you from such a different context, and I actually met you about a year or two ago, I think.
Yeah, I think it was
2 years ago. And you were my first ever DJ instructor in my life when I joined a DJ competition, and you were my mentor. But more than that, you actually have such a significant and beautiful role in my life. I like to call you my guardian angel. And that's why I feel so honored that you are here today as the first ever person to be on this podcast.
It's an absolute honor to be on your podcast. I never expected to be the first. When you shared this idea with me the other day, a few weeks ago, I said, "Yeah, that's amazing because you need to get your voice out there because people need to hear you, and that's one way that you're gonna reach out to loads of souls. And your voice is very unique. It is angelic, and I don't have to say more than everyone else who's listening to it right now I'm pretty much sure you agree with me because when you've got a perfect voice and when you got that certain voice that reaches out to every individual and the universes.
Yeah, universers, that's what everyone is.
You gotta use it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And the timing is just perfect, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so actually the reason why it's also so significant that the universe wanted it to be the way that you are the first person on this podcast because you were actually the first person that gave me my first ever self-help book. Okay. And this was throughout the DJ experience, which was 6 months in the middle till the end of 2018.
Yes.
And I was going through a really, really life-changing phase in my life. All you said was, okay, here's a book for you. I don't need it anymore. I have read this knowledge and I'd like to pass it on to you. And when I took that book, I had no idea how significant this book would be in my life. But this book really was the starting point for all the other self-help books that came afterwards. And it sort of kickstarted my spiritual journey, which is why you have such a special place in my heart. So that's why we're here today to actually find out more about what has led you to living your highest self life. What brought you to this point?
Well, there's so many things that happened to me since I was a child. Knowing what I wanted to do, following my passion was the beginning of it. I think at the age of 9, I came across a magazine that explained what DJing was. But what fascinated, it was an electronic magazine that explained what electronically, how does a DJ mixer work. Mm-hmm. And our assignment was to actually create a DJ mixer.
Wait, you were 9 years old?
9 years old.
Oh my gosh! I don't remember what I was doing when I was 9 years old, but here you are creating a DJ controller.
I remember I was 9 because that was when I had my first major accident. I was a rebel. Oh my god. Because there was this well which we were not supposed to go to, but I used to go to that well just to play with, the bucket. It's just fun times. And then I accidentally fell into the well and I cracked open my head. I was 9. So during the phase where I was recovering in hospital, I fractured my skull, and while I was bedridden, that's when I read this magazine.
Oh.
So I remember it really clearly because I was 9. And that's how I came across DJing. I was introduced to DJing. What fascinated me mostly was the paragraph that explained what DJing was and how a DJ would use 2 records and mix them seamlessly and present it to an audience in perfect harmony. That kind of made sense to me. It's kind of life.
That's so deep. I've never heard any DJ describe the context of DJing in such a beautiful way. But also, I actually wonder how your journey, ever since you were 9 years old and you found your purpose, or
I found my passion. That was my passion. I would say passion, I would always say that you need to follow your passion in order to find your purpose. Because your purpose could be something that you wouldn't find until 50. But if you don't follow your passion, you'd never get there. your passion would lead you to your purpose. And most of the people that I know at the age of 50 haven't even found their passion. It could be music, it could be art, it could be painting, it could be maths. Like you're supposed to fly to Mars, you got to start with math, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's where I kind of like understood the balance between my spiritual side and my DJing, my musical side, because I tried to understand looking at how the turntable works, how the record works, and trying to mix two songs together was so difficult to try and adjust the tempo and to mix the keys of the two songs, balancing pitch bend, and what if the needle skips,
Wow.
And then I tried to think about how about a third record and a fourth record. So putting all these channels up together and mixing them in perfect sync, on perfect tempo, perfect key, perfect harmony, expanding and look at 7 billion people in perfect sync.
Wow.
And perfect harmony.
Actually even the word channels.
Exactly.
All these different informations or downloads that you might be receiving, how do you allow that to all expand in coherence?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coherence is the word, because if we are mixing I'm using DJ jargon here, like there are certain channels, but it's very relevant to day-to-day life. For example, if you are mixing a certain song that has a low, a mid and a high, but if the low frequency is a little too much, what do? We equalize it, we reduce the low frequency. Now that individual channel may not go in sync with the other channel if the low frequency clashes. Isn't that about equalizing?
Wow, that's so beautiful. And then your entire journey of you finding your passion at the age of 9, which is already so unique and I think it's very uncommon for someone to find their passion that they're still doing up until today.
Yes.
Like you really followed through and committed and you knew that was your passion, and I think really trusting also that this is your path is a very difficult decision to make, I would say, for most people.
I agree. And especially for us because we're Asians, we got Asian parents, Asian siblings, and when you say you want to be a DJ, that's it. They're like, and it's so funny because my mom till today asks me when am I going to get a real job.
Really? Wait, till today?
Yeah, but it's not that it's not that she hates what I do, but you see, Asian parents at that generation would not accept DJing as a proper career, or music, for example. If you're a musician, they just think it's just part of parcel. They're just gonna grow out of it, and
that's actually true. Actually, my sister wants to become a music producer and a DJ.
I encourage her.
My dad encourages her, and for my mom, I guess she just sort of wants us to be happy. But I can tell, like, okay, do you want to do something else first?
Yeah.
But I think it's so beautiful that you followed through. And then this entire path, I actually wonder, because you were the one that gave me my first self-help book. And it was actually by Deepak Chopra called The Future of God. Oh my God, I had so many questions. And it took me, I think, 5 months to read that one book, because I always felt like I wasn't ready. And I was like, every page was so powerful. But there were things that I was just not understanding. So I was like, okay, that's not the right time to read it. I put it away until I went to India. 4 months later to do my yoga teacher training. I took out that same book. And that's when I finished the book. And it was throughout my yoga teacher training for 1 month in Rishikesh. I continued reading. And I realized that in the class of yoga philosophy, I was learning exactly that phrase that I read exactly that morning in the book. And I got goosebumps everywhere, because it was like, you are a drop from the ocean, and like all this sort of stuff was written in the Deepak Chopra book. And then I would go to class, yoga philosophy class, and the teacher would exactly use that same example, and it felt like a deja vu. It felt like I was in a video game. I was like, what? Like, this is exactly what I just read, and I could have finished this book ages ago, but I didn't, because I couldn't comprehend the significant meaning of it at that point of time. And it was only until later where I had more context and the experiences where I also learned how to meditate in India, where I then started to understand it. I was like, wow, DJ Mas, my beautiful guardian angel Mas, gave me this book, and I had no idea what it was going to be about. And all you did was open this door in my life. You didn't even tell me, like, okay, like, if there are any parts, like, like it might be very difficult to understand, but like you just know words, you just pass it to me and said, this is for you. And like that, you open the door for me. And that's why I wonder, at what point in your life did you actually maybe have your personal transforming moment where you then, worked on self-development, or did that always come naturally? Or was there anything that really pushed you down this path of you being true to your purpose, being true to yourself from within? Like what sped that up?
All right, so this is quite personal, but I don't mind sharing it. I think the world has to know these things by now, because what I portray as a DJ is completely different to what I actually am, and you know it, and a couple of my closest friends and family knows it. To me, the beginning was at a very young age. My mom and dad, they were going through a tough time. My dad was he was getting wasted, and coming home and fighting with my mom. And my mom, poor thing, I was like feeling sorry for her. There's like this angel, and then there's the opposite of an angel. I used to think, how come? How come this does not make any sense? Where's the justice in this? There's like good and there's bad, and why are they, constantly at a clash? So I needed to find my answers, and then I set out to understanding what is God. So I said, okay, see, the God that we've been taught by our parents or by schools or by the scriptures are quite strict and harsh, but that's not the actual God that I knew, because I'm like, okay, if God wants to make my mom and dad, produce me, and if I'm the perfect balance between it, then I need to accept the side of my mom and dad, which is good, including my dad. You see, he's like 99% maybe yang and then 1% yin, or opposite yin and yang. So I said, okay, let me take the best of both. And I started praying in the little ways that I know. So the first prayer that I did was, when we go to school, every kid had Marvel comic books, the comic books and those cards that they paste on. And I never had it because we couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. And I had very humble beginnings. We were very poor. So, because my dad left us after that, because he was like, he got divorced. And when he left us, my mom was having a hard time bringing us up. So I said, okay, I want to ask God for something for a change. Let me see how this works. So I went home and I looked up to the sky and I said, hey, bro.
God's a bro.
Help me out here, because every kid in the class has these things and I don't.
Yeah.
I went to school the next day. I swear to God, this happened. And there was a kid that I'd never seen in my life walk into my class and give me a comic book with every single comic card that is ever produced. There was 98 cards. And he gave me 2 sets of each. I still get goosebumps when I think of that day. And he just gave it to me and he left. And he went. I've never seen that kid again in my life. And that made me believe in miracles.
Wow.
That made me believe that the universe is responding. That made me understand that there is a higher power. And not a lot of people will understand this unless it actually happens. But when you believe in something so hard, it manifests into reality.
Yeah.
You create your own reality. And then I realized something else which is more important. The one who controls his emotions will control every future outcome.
Emotions,
because had I been the violent, angry person like my dad, I wouldn't be that positive. It's okay, everything will be all right, but you pass through this test with your own trajectory. It's not about your mom and dad, it's about you. This is your life, and they were brought into this universe as well, just like you, to create you. And then you need to surpass all these emotions instead of absorbing it. That's what happens to a lot of people who grow up in domestic violence. They become like their dad. And instead, I completely flipped. So I've never had alcohol in my life.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to actually ask you about. Because you've been a DJ for so many years, and you're constantly in the environment where it's easy to drink alcohol. I'm not saying that it's a must, but often it is just easy because it's often, the saying, you become your environment.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think is so different about you, because you are in the environment where everyone goes to let go, have fun, drink alcohol, make out with random people. It's like, you never, I don't know about making out, but like, the alcohol part, when you told me you have never once in your life had a sip of alcohol.
Yeah.
Nor tried any substance.
Never tried any drugs, never tried, not even a cigarette. I've never smoked because I wanted to be conscious in every decision that I make. I knew I was responsible for my own future.
Oh my gosh, I just got my heart just skipping like responsibility.
Responsibility.
And owning it.
Yeah. You know, we're just human. We do make mistakes. But making a conscious mistake and then correcting it is up to you. You can own it. You can say, okay, I'm sorry, I did something wrong. But what if you were drunk? You didn't know what happens. The next day, you're like, oh, I don't know what happened. That's just an excuse.
I can actually speak for myself. Really, like, I stopped drinking for over a year now. If I drink now, it's really to have a beer and, like, the occasional beer with my dad because I enjoy it, or, like, a sip of red wine with my mom because she loves it. But I used to drink in high school. I know. But then at some point, I just had this realization inside, and you were actually one of the, is it catalysts?
Yeah.
Catalysts? I don't know
Catalyst,
the word. Catalyst, yeah. Where you were like, something that you said that really got to me and was like, I actually don't need alcohol because it really, I'm losing control.
Yeah.
And I forget. And forgetting is so dangerous.
It is.
If I'm forgetting these parts, these are my brain cells.
Absolutely.
My brain cells are dying when I'm forgetting something. And I'm speaking for myself, but I really went through these experiences to also transcend them or to move on from them and to know that I'm not missing out on anything. But like for you didn't even need that. And that to me is, like, I have so much respect for that. But also, you can also show people out there that also feel like they don't really want to drink alcohol, but then getting influenced by the environment. But you could show them, you know what, you don't need to be influenced because
you don't need the substance, you don't need the alcohol to get high. When I saw you at your birthday when I was DJing at Zouk, I'm like, okay, I knew that's not you. You see, that is not you, because you're this angel that I see whose halo is so bright. And why do you want to tarnish your aura? Why do you want to tarnish your soul? So all I did was guide you towards the right path, but it just happened consciously because I knew I had to do it very gently. And I mean, with all God's blessings and every miracle in the universe, you picked it up really fast.
Yeah.
Some of the people around me, I've had trouble trying to reach out to them and try to get them to understand this for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a long time. And it's really sad because I'm still not giving up on them.
Yeah.
You see, they're the ones who are hanging by a thread. You're okay. You got it. You picked it up, and then all I had to do was give you the right book.
Yeah.
At the right time.
It was exactly. You could literally say my whole life story. That one book. That magic book. Yeah. It's still with me.
Because another friend of mine, a legendary DJ, very famous, I wouldn't like to mention his name. He was he was really alcoholic. I met him once at a club and he didn't know where he was. I stopped and I held his hand. I said, "This is not you." He went home. He said he cried that day. And then he still calls me and said, "You changed me." It's like, if it wasn't for you, I probably would have been suicidal by now. I would have committed suicide, or I would have, drank myself to death or something like that. And he explains that is what happens when someone is in the right place at the right time. And more than anything, saying the right thing with the right tone.
Yeah. And also not being forceful, but really being gentle. Yeah. And I think that's what got to me. I think that's exactly what you said. This is not you. And that really hit me because it's like, that's so true. In my fully conscious state, I would have never. Acted that way or forgotten the way I got home.
How you got home? Because I was worried. I was DJing, but I was thinking, where are you?
Yeah. Yeah, wow. But I think that's really inspiring that you can show people you don't need to be influenced. You don't need to prove anything. True. In the end, you are the creator of your reality, as you said.
And you hold your future in your hands. And it's the same, when you are born, you basically come with your fists folded in. When you open up, that's your entire destiny written in your palm. And people read that. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's already written. The ink is dry. It's in our hands.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what you have done very successfully within a year or so. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm really glad. I know that eventually when you're ready, like I told you many times before, you don't even have to do a podcast.
I'm starting with this because I'm so excited to just have this open this path, this tool to remind people that you have the universe within, as in you are the creator of your reality. You are the one that can take conscious decisions at every point in your life, because even I had to take that step from that unconscious level, or at least sometimes unconscious level, into becoming fully responsible for every single moment and decision and thought in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was very powerful. So that was a huge shift that I went through, and you were part of that shift, actually.
I'm so glad that I was, and I'm so glad that you have become who you are today. And it's not, you were always this person. It's just that if you can abstain from what is good for you, like when you are fasting, and when you're meditating, then you can easily abstain from what is bad for you. Yeah. It's a simple, mathematical equation.
And who would have known 2 years later that I'm also now a meditation teacher?
Exactly. And that is exactly what it is. Yeah? It leads to that. And now you're setting an example, not by preaching it, but by leading that lifestyle. And that's what it is. You got to lead by example. People look up to you. I can't tell none of my friends, hey, don't get wasted. If I'm getting wasted every night.
It's really about embodying it.
It is.
And that speaks so much more than even explaining something.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think that's what I want to share with all of you listening and tuning into this right now. I went through my phases too that I actually don't talk about much anymore, because for me, that is my past. And I'm owning up to it right now. I don't talk about it often, but I don't deny the fact that that was part of my journey for me to realize the lessons that it was trying to show me. And that I want to just show you guys that, you could change your life any single point in any moment of your life.
Absolutely.
So it takes a moment to change your life. It doesn't take...
It takes a moment.
Yeah.
But you have to continue. If it doesn't click in a day, don't give up.
Yeah.
This is what happens to most of the people. They're like, oh, I'm trying to meditate, it doesn't work. I'm trying to avoid alcohol, it doesn't work. I'm trying to, stay away from this, it doesn't work. But that's not how it works. Sometimes we have the instantaneous and spontaneous response, but sometimes you gotta persevere. No matter what happens, you gotta continue. Don't give up, because you're a good person. And all of you. You got a pure soul. You're born pure.
Everyone. Every
is.
Single person in this world. And all galaxies, whatever exists.
Yeah.
And with that, I actually have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Shoot.
So, since we talked about your journey to where you are today, a little bit about your past, about how you got into DJing, and today you still are DJing.
Yes.
So I just want to ask you, what was the biggest value or the most important value that you actually learned from your mom throughout your journey in life? Or maybe biggest lesson?
Forgiveness.
Wow. Okay.
She's my role model when it comes to forgiveness, and Jesus. Because I like that story. It's amazing. So my mom was the embodiment of forgiving, because after what she'd been through, which is literal hell on earth, she had to raise two sons on her own. And all she did was, whenever we got mad at dad for what he did, she would say, no, that's your dad. You can't get angry with him. No way.
Wow.
You need to subside that anger in you. And she went on a pilgrim to Mecca on Hajj. And when she came back, she went to my dad and she asked for forgiveness from my dad for being angry with him. And that showed who's a greater person in life, she was my role model when it comes to that part of it. Yeah. So forgiveness. So I started forgiving people at a very young age, no matter whatever it is. It could be someone who said something bad to me on the street, or someone who really harmed me or hurt me. I would say, it's okay, I forgive you.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I picked up from my mom.
That's so beautiful. It's very hard to forgive, I would say, coming from a place where you feel like it's not your fault.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say forgiveness is probably the hardest thing. And that's what your mom taught you at such a young age.
Yeah. And it was also partly showing me that there's no room for ego in forgiveness. You get it? If she's like, why should I ask for his why should I ask him for forgiveness when he's the one who did everything wrong? Which is true, but she put down her ego and went up to him and said, I'm sorry for being angry and mad at you for this many years. And that explains how I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I do get mad at people sometimes for doing some stuff, but I'm more patient and tolerant. And then eventually I will forgive. Yeah, so I'm not like my mom yet.
I think you already know that you will forgive, though.
Yes.
That is something
yes,
your mom taught you, I guess.
Absolutely.
Because even though you're mad in the moment, I mean, we're all human.
So
we can't always be like, I forgive you. In that moment where like someone's like, like, I forgive you. You know, like, but it's really, it's already a big thing to know that inside you already you know that you forgave this person.
Yes.
But you're still letting the emotions flow in that moment, as in, you know, maybe not reacting instantly.
Absolutely.
But then forgiving later on.
Absolutely.
And that's when you're ready. That's beautiful. Okay, another question is, so if you had 1 month to do anything you would like to do in your life, to experience anything you'd like to do, and it were your last month in life, what would you like to do in that 1 month?
I would travel to outer space in this body because I want this body to float.
Wow!
Yeah, that's my goal. I really want to go up there and look at the stars and look down on Earth and see how tiny we are in this little tiny planet. Everything that goes down from the struggles in life to, like you're jealous about that. That person's got products. This one's got the Nike shoes, and it really doesn't matter because when you're up there, there's no direction. What's north, south, east, west? What's right, left? What's up and down?
Yeah.
You're just looking at the tiny blue dot.
Wow. And would you want to spend your entire month in space?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Away from all this madness and chaos.
Yeah.
Just reminiscing on how good we could be as universal beings.
Universal.
Exactly. I guess that was something that I wanted to do since I was a child, and that's my goal. So my closest friends who know me, I say, I'm investing in you guys right now.
Yeah.
All I want is, because you see, air travel is damn cheap, and likewise, space travel is going to be damn cheap in a couple of years, maybe 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Send me to outer space before I die.
You know what? That's so funny you're saying this, because I had this vision that if the way I would want to leave this human body someday would be from outer space.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's the vision or feel. I mean, it might be just a fantasy, but that's, if there were any way I'd like to actually leave my body, so pass away from outer space, how beautiful would that be?
You're closer to the heavens.
Yeah. Heavens is wherever you are,
wherever you
closer to my star family, man.
Exactly. Because what happens is with us, we are so caught up in earthly material. And most people forget the human aspect of it, and how we live our lives have completely transformed from products and branding, like what we spoke about earlier. And this famous quote that I read, which stuck in my head, is use material, love people, because the opposite will not work.
Use people and love material. Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I buy things if it serves a purpose.
So you're a minimalist?
Very much a minimalist, but I would never want to waste things, because I until now I have never bought a branded thing, because I felt like, but I've been gifted. Yeah. Like from Louis Vuitton to Balenciaga to Dolce & Gabbana. My friends, my family, like the closest ones to me, gifted to me. But I would never spend that money, because when I have some extra cash, I would try to give it to someone in need. Yeah. I always think about, why should I buy $1,000 shoe when I could buy $110 shoes to kids in Bangladesh who's like walking on those hot tar streets with no shoes or slippers at all.
You see, I think this is one thing that I want to experience. I want to go to these places to see it for myself. And I feel like you might have experienced that. Yes,
I've traveled quite a lot. A lot.
How many countries have you been to?
Over 90.
Wow!
The recent, over 90 countries. I was going to hit 100 this year. Yeah, because I've traveled a lot since I was young. And since I was in Dubai, I was based in Dubai for more than 15 years. And it was kind of like very central. And I would get cheap tickets from my friends at Emirates Airlines, ID90s.
Oh, Emirates is so nice.
Yeah. So it's very easy for me to, travel around. So I've been to most parts of Asia, Middle East, Europe, the States, South America. Once I did a whole month in South America. But my favorite place to travel to is... Yeah.
That's my dream. That's like the next place I want to go to.
One of my favorite places, though, to travel to is Nepal, because you see people are humble and content with very little what they have. And that is something that we can all, kind of like learn from when you see, because there have been these orphanages that I go and I've helped them out, and it's so, like, you give them some stuff, like clothes and stuff, and they'll hug you, say thank you, and then they go to sleep on a concrete floor under one shelter, and they have no beds. They just take newspapers and then put them on the floor, but they sleep with a smile. They go to sleep on a newspaper with a smile, and we are here complaining about our beds.
Yeah.
So that really made me open my eyes. Every time I go through a hard phase in my life, I do this. I go to an orphanage or like a place that has a lot of special needs. And it opens my eyes and what are we complaining about?
Wow.
My family knows that I do it. My closest friends know that I do it. But it's the first time I've actually spoken about it publicly.
Thank you so much for sharing, because I remember you once mentioning this to me, and it was actually like way after we knew each other where you actually mentioned it to me the first time. And it really shifted something within me. And once I have the first opportunity, because my intention is to go to Thailand. Soon, and then my dream has always been to go to Nepal. So after Thailand, I want to go to Nepal.
We should go together.
Please, let's meet there in the mountains. But the thing is, it really put me into perspective to being grateful in my life, but I want to actually go to these places and see it for myself, because it's different hearing about it and actually experiencing it.
Yes.
And that's something that you opened my eyes. Like, you helped me open my eyes in this perspective, in this aspect of life.
So that is also my retirement plan one day.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to be in Australia, in a beautiful house in the sunflower fields in Melbourne, but also at the same time in Pokhara next to the Himalayan Valley, a little, plot of land just to do my own gardening, eat organic stuff.
Yes, that's my dream.
Yeah.
That's my dream.
And the weather is so perfect. You don't need the air conditioning. You don't need, heaters. It's just like perfect. And a lot of people don't understand that this makes you happy. Contentment leads to happiness.
That's powerful.
Yeah, well, this is true. And right now I'm a DJ. I've been a DJ for the past so many years, and I still want to continue DJing because I feel like my purpose is not yet served. And in order to fulfill my purpose, I need to continue in this trajectory where I am right now. I have to be here. But it will happen, but when I'm ready to retire, you'll either find me here or there, one of those two places which I said where I'd be.
In a beautiful, small, cozy home with your own organic garden.
Oh, yeah.
And do you like tropical weather? Because I like to have
I like the perfect balance.
Yeah, okay.
And I like the perfect balance, and in Pokhara it's really nice because you can see the Himalayas. And the temperature is 20 degrees to 25.
Wow, that's perfect. You like hoodies anyway.
I like hoodies, and then even in the during the daytime at noon, you can just walk out and this beautiful sunshine, but you don't sweat or there's no humidity. It's just perfect, and the air is so fresh. When you breathe that air, you're like, this is not polluted. You get what I mean? Yes. There's zero pollution,
and especially we're in Dubai. So
Dubai is very hot during summer, 50 degrees and 100% humidity.
Wow, I've never been.
Oh my god,
that sounds more hotter than Singapore. And people already can't take Singapore, especially from Germany.
That's the thing. When people complain about the heat in Singapore, I'm like, go to Dubai now. It's July. Go. July, August. You are literally in... you're on a sauna 24/7 if you're walking outside. So you're going to stay inside in your air-conditioned room. You can't park your car outside because it literally heats up to a level where you could fry eggs on the bonnet.
What?
I've done it, yeah.
You tried?
Yeah, we've done it. We've actually fried eggs on our bonnets.
No! Can you go back and like film that and it'll do a TikTok? Wow. Oh wow. There's like purple red sunset. That's so beautiful.
So I've recorded a few. Man, it's one of the best.
Sorry, I just like side note because that's my favorite color, and I'm seeing it in the sky right now. And from where I live, I can't see the sunset, so this is so beautiful.
It's a sign.
So fulfilling.
When I record the sunset from my window and post it, people think that it's a filter. Yeah, see, Instagram filters messed it up for everyone, didn't it?
yeah, that's a good, like seeing it with clear lens as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I should like move away from filters. Okay, I have another question for you. So, if you could write one letter to humanity, what would you write in that letter? What would you like to share?
That's really deep.
I channeled this question. I don't know where it came from, but I felt like I had to ask you.
Well,
take your time.
Again,
it's a deep question. You guys can all think about this too, by the way.
There's a famous quote. We are here to help others. What the others are here for, we don't know. And that's all that matters. Because while you live for a certain period of time, which if you understand the vast universe, if you understand Earth, if you understand our solar system, our sun is a star. We basically elapsed around it, and then our solar system is a part of this massive galaxy with billions of stars, billions of solar systems, and we call it the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
And the Milky Way galaxy is just a part of like trillions and trillions of other galaxies, and the closest galaxy to us is Andromeda. And the closest star to us is called Alpha Centauri.
Why do you know all this? This is beautiful.
I'm trying to explain to you. You know how long does it take for us to reach Alpha Centauri, the closest star from our sun? In light years, 1 trillion light years. And a light year is insane amount of years in human years. And that means we are not even close to getting to, that star. We won't do it in this lifetime, in a generation. We will never do it for generations. We won't get to our star, the closest star, which is Alpha Centauri. And time works in a very weird way where when we look at Alpha Centauri today, what we see is what happened there billions of years ago. And that is what we need to know as human beings. What we do today will reflect our generations billions of years from now.
Wow.
Right?
If we still exist.
If we still exist, it's like looking at that star. So we need to leave a positive footprint. We need to leave humanity at its best so that the younger generation understands and takes it as an example. Because if we don't, it's going to go away. And we are our own demise. That's what we are doing. We are ruining planet Earth. We are messing up the educational system. We're poisoning the youth with the wrong message.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to tell humanity. Make sure you leave a positive footprint before you. And if you do that, the generations to follow will understand it better and they'll lead a better example. But if you don't do it now, they won't understand it, right?
Yeah. I think that's also one of the big reasons from within that I feel, it's a little bit personal, but I'll share anyways, why I also want to do this podcast. It's because I want to be able to open up doors in anyone's life who's tuning into this to know that there are possibilities in their life to take action and be in control of their reality right now.
Yeah.
Because personally, when I have children someday, I want them to have the best life, and I don't want them to suffer because I suffered and didn't deal with it, or more than that, I don't want to live my life unconsciously and then have a child that is then living the how do I put this? I know I'm very young, but it's still like I want my child someday to live their best life. And I don't want them to have to make up for something that I didn't deal with when I had the time and the space and the control over.
Yeah.
And that's why it's also a big reason why I'm even doing this podcast, because we all can take action right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We can take action. We need to spread love. You know, that word is being so overrated because it's commercialized.
Yeah.
When they say love, you think about red hearts and, you know, couples holding hands. That's commercialized love. But love is eternal, it's universal, it's unconditional. Right? Love for humanity, for the birds, nature, love for the trees, love for, you know, what you eat, and, you know, everything is love. And love is love. You can't you know, like divert from it. And that is what we need to teach our children so that they'll understand what love is.
One last small, tiny, short question
Okay.
before we wrap it up completely.
All
If there were one advice you'd like to give to everyone who's tuning in right now, what would that advice be?
Change.
Wow.
It's time.
Okay.
That's it.
I love that. And with that, thank you, Universers, for tuning in today to this frequency, this vibration, and space of unconditional love.
Thank you so much for having me, Naomi. You are my angel, you know that.
I want to give you a hug too. I'm so happy you're in my life, and I'm so grateful.
That you are in my life, and I'm happy that we found each other in this lifetime.
Exactly. And for everyone who is tuning in right now, I'd like to thank you so much for taking this time, and I really look forward to all the future podcasts. If you have any questions you'd like to ask anyone in the future, or even DJ Mas, you can reach him on Instagram. I will link him below. And yeah, I'll see you all very soon.
Thank you so much. Love you all.